Welcome Jim Fuller, incumbent candidate for town commissioner for the town of Davidson, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule
My pleasure.
to respond.
Thank you.
You are welcome. All candidates will answer the same 3 questions, and you'll have about 3 minutes per question. And we'll signal you if you get close to the 3-minute mark. So,
Okay.
moving forward, first question. What do you believe are the 3 most important issues facing our town right now, and how would you address these critical issues?
First of all, I tend to see issues not as problems, but as opportunities for solutions. And I believe we can solve our issues, our problems, if we keep an eye on the past for what's both good and needs to be changed, what we can do moving forward. We're not looking back, we're looking forward. I think we've got to deal with MI Connection. We're talking about a contingent debt of $20 million. I don't like any debt, not in my personal life, not in the town's life, especially not with taxpayer dollars. Plus it's $1 million off the top. Can you imagine if any of us had to give away 10% of our income before taxes, before expenses? But the solution is both simple and complex. What we have to do is manage that company well, grow that company well. It's really almost silly to talk about walking away from it, or we're going to go out and sell it tomorrow. If you or I need to sell our house, what do? We paint the living room, we fix the roof, we fix up the yard, and then we go aggressively in the market to fight for our price. That's what we need to do with MI Connection. Keep it growing, keep it well managed, and then go into the market aggressively to sell it. And to me, that ties in with the issue of overall financial picture. As long as we've got a $20 million contingent debt, I don't agree that we should spend 13, 15, 17, whatever the final number turns out to be, for a new town hall. I'd like to have a new town hall. I'd like to reward our employees, and I will vote for good salaries, good working conditions, good places to work. But at this point, I'm not willing to work to spend and get debt of another $15+ million, and nobody knows what it would ultimately be. The third thing, and probably the one that I think is the solution to everything, is we need to develop a renewed level of trust. We need to learn better how to speak, not to each other, not at each other, but with each other. And if we do that, there's so much talent in our community. We can do great things, and that's what I want to work on doing, bringing people together to address, to save what's worth saving, and to change what needs to be changed.
Thank you. The second question has 2 parts, and it has to do with strengths and weaknesses. Okay. What are the greatest strengths or experiences you bring as a candidate, and how would you apply these to better Davidson?
Well, I think experience is important. Not longevity. It's not how many years you stay in a job. It's not how many years old you are. It's about the breadth and depth of the experience. Gosh, I have a full and fortunate life, wonderful family. I worked at a church in Brooklyn. I taught school in California. I served in the U.S. Army. Believe it or not, I even played a year on a minor league professional football team. Not very well, I might add, but so I've done a lot of things, and Alfred Lord Tennyson said, "I am a part of all that I have met," and I am, and I have learned from every experience. And professionally, I'm not only a lawyer. I served as a judge for a period of time. I'm a trained mediator, so I think I know how to bring people together, and I think I do that. I reach out to everybody in our community. There's not my group and your group. Everybody is our group. So that I think are my strengths. I think the weakness is the flip side of that. And I've tried to take my weaknesses and make them something that's useful and helpful. You could say I'm ponderous. I might say, well, I'm thoughtful and thorough. I don't make snap decisions. I think through not just this step, but the next step. It's a little bit like the major litigation that I do with my partner, Sandy Carnegie. We try to anticipate everything the other side's going to say. We do our closing argument, we do their closing argument. And so I'm not the best for a decision in 5 minutes. I think I'm pretty darn good for a decision where I listen to what everybody has to say, I amalgamate the facts, the law, and the opinions, and then I truly try in every case to come up with what I believe is best for the entire town of Davidson.
Thank you. Now, the last question. You've certainly had some experience here, but what do you think the role of commissioner is and should be? What duties are prescribed by the statute, and how does that translate into ongoing day-to-day operations in Davidson?
I think the primary responsibility for an elected commissioner really fall into two categories. One of my favorite people in political history is the late Senator Frank Porter Graham of North Carolina, who was courageous and stood up at a time that was difficult for what he believed in. Senator Graham said that patriotism was not just flags and parades on July 4th, that the real measure of patriotism comes when we make the budget of the Republic. It's how the commissioners vote to allocate our resources. It is about being respectful for those among us who are poor, who are middle class. I grew up in a middle class family in High Point, and I got wonderful values from my parents. But I will tell you, there was almost always month left at the end of the money. So I believe that part of our duty is to listen to everybody across the entire political spectrum, but also the economic spectrum. And we try to fashion a budget and a town where our resources benefit everybody. So I think, it would take you about 3 minutes and 3 boring minutes to read the statute about what our duties are. Our duties are really to set the policy, to implement a budget and a program in our town that charts for the future. I think this election is not about me or you. It's about the future. It's about our children. It's about our grandchildren. It's about making this the place we want it to be. And Davidson is unique in that regard. If you look around, and we had gut-wrenching suicides that tore our stomachs in a knot. And what we did was put together Davidson Lifeline with Lynn and Lisa and other people, lots of volunteers who came in to help. We had a 13-year-old girl who looked across the class and saw some people without computers. And she didn't just say, "Isn't that a shame?" She went home and talked to her parents, and now we have, I think it's called DD4L, something like that. We have provided computers to give poor kids a chance for equality, a chance to lift themselves. As you are well aware, we have a history of sadness, a history of need, and we have addressed both of those with the Davidson Cornelius Child Development Center. What we have done as a town is say, we're not going to study something for 5 years and write a big old thick report and put it up on the shelf. When we see a need, we come together as friends, and I'm going to say it, we demonstrate love and affection for each other, and we work together, and we solve the problems. We can do that going forward. We can reach back historically and thank the people who have brought us to where we are. And we can learn from them, and we can identify a lot of good things, including those I just mentioned, as we go forward about things we want to preserve about our town. And we can also be candid and honest with ourselves and tough on ourselves and say, this didn't work, this was not a good idea. We can make changes as we go forward. Let me give you the last point I would make. We've had a lot of discussion about Beatty Street. I'm going to start by saying I made a mistake, and I'm sorry for it. We should have had a public hearing before we did the RFP. We should have brought the entire town together to help chart that course. That's what I'd like to do in the future. And that's what I'm talking about with solutions, not just emphasizing problems. I voted no on Beatty Street, and I sincerely believe that was the right vote for me. Rodney Graham voted yes on Beatty Street, but Rodney is a good man, and he sincerely believed that was the right vote. I'm going to keep arguing with Rodney, but it's going to be respectful, and that's what I want us to do. If you agree with me, fine. If you don't agree with me, fine, but we're going to sit down and be respectful of each other, and we're going to try to come to a solution. That's what I promised to do. That's what I believe I can do, and that's why I ask for your support and your vote.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
I appreciate the opportunity.